Today I'm going to prime a cardio help circuit, and this is what the pump pack looks like inside here. There is a circuit as well as the pump, which is a centrifugal pump. So I'm just going to start and open it up. So when we open it up, we have the circuit right here. This is inside this case. It's all sterile. So some hospitals, the procedure would be to put on some sterile gloves while you're inside this sterile field. But this is a practice setup, so we're not going to do that. So I'm going to pull this out so I can get exposure to the actual pump and then the reservoir bag. And I'm going to connect the reservoir bag to the circuit, and it's really quite easy. You have a blue line and a red line, so deoxygenated blood, oxygenated blood, and you're going to connect the blue to the blue and the red to the red. So over here we have a red line, so we'll connect the red line to the red line. So these little tabs right here, the little narrow side says that it should be my left thumb to pop that guy off. And you want to make sure when you're messing with these little connections right here, if you don't have sterile gloves, you want to be careful not to touch them because it is a sterile environment right there. And just make that connection right there. And so that leaves what's left over is blue to blue. We'll just make that connection right now. Boom, boom. So reservoir bag is good. While I'm inside here, I'm going to modify the pump pack. I'm going to go ahead and put a red cap on the front post oxygenator port, which is right there. All hospitals are a little different with the procedures for doing that. This is how our hospital likes to do it. I'm going to put a pre-oxygenator pigtail right back here. And I'm going to put a red cap on that as well. Make sure the port is closed. That's right there. Another red cap right here. And then on the post oxygenator side, I'm going to put a high flow stopcock. We know it's a high flow stopcock because it is yellow. And I'm just going to go ahead and put the red caps on right here because that's how we do it. And then when you're putting this this stopcock on here, you want to kind of be mindful of the orientation of how you put this on, because you may need to draw off of this, and if the ports are facing the opposite way, it may be kind of difficult to do that. So now we're modified inside here. We're ready to actually go over to the cardio help machine. So here you could have a friend help you out, but I'm just going to take it all in one by myself. So the way this connects to the machine is right there's a little tab right there, and it fits in right here, and you kind of got to go counterclockwise, and you'll hear it click in. There we go, just like that. And I can go ahead and, since I'm over here, it's okay that fell on the ground. It's no longer sterile anymore, and it doesn't have to be sterile anymore. Since I'm over here, I'm going to connect the this is the pressure and the pressure sensing cable right here. There's a red dot. You point it towards the red oxygenator right there. And while I'm down here, I'll just go ahead and attach the flow probe, which is the flow probe right here. I'm going to attach that flow probe right over here. On a nice new circuit, there's two white tape lines right there, indicating that that's where it should be placed. And you want to put that arrow in the direction of the flow, which is to the patient. So I'm going to go ahead and lower this safety bar right here, and then I'm going to put this circuit right there, if it'll stay. So when you prime this, our facility, we use 2 liters of plasma light. Other institutions will use whatever their facilities find necessary to prime a circuit with. So what I'm doing right here is I'm going to attach this bag up to this stand. And when you're attaching this bag, you kind of want to lay it out in orientation so it's kind of flat as possible. while I'm over here, I'm just going to put one clamp on the blue side for future use. So another thing that we want to do when we come over here, before we start putting fluid or anything inside our circuit, is we want to hook up the heater cooler. And the reason why we're doing that is these circuits are pretty expensive, and so you want to hook up the heater cooler and test run it with 4 liters of sterile water. That way you're testing the circuit, or you're testing the oxygenator, and if you see any fluid or anything like that down inside there, that'll tell you that your oxygenator has a crack or something, and you can't use it. It's not safe for patient use, and you'd have to throw it away. There we go. So I'm going to move over here to the machine and actually just turn it on with this on button. It's going to make a lot of noise, so we're going to go into global override to kind of shut it up. And that's just pressing the S button and that little triangle button right there, and that tells me I'm in global override right there. Since I'm over here, I can go ahead and zero out. There's 3 pressures we want to zero. This arterial pressure, just hit 0, yes. And there we go. This venous pressure, 0, check yes. Yes again. And then the delta P. And one more pressure. Where'd it go? The P internal. There we go. 0. So all those pressures are zeroed right there. So now I'm ready to actually put fluid inside the bag. And so I'm going to take one of these liters of plasma light that we would use here. Make sure that line is unclamped, and then we're going to fill it up. This part can take a little bit of time just because I'm trying to force all this fluid up inside this bag here. That's pretty good for that bag right there. So it's really important before you actually put fluid inside the circuit, is at our institution anyway, is we want to zero those pressures like I did over there. That way you get some accurate numbers when you're starting up the machine. So after I'm done with filling this bag up with fluid, I'm going to raise this bar up about 3 feet, and I'm going to open up this clamp right here, and that's going to allow fluid to passively fill this circuit right here. Clamp off. All the lines are open. There we go. So now you can see fluid is passively filling just by gravity. Okay, that's pretty good. So basically what we're trying to do right here is we're trying to de-air all the air out of this circuit. And so I'm just going to turn the RPMs here, this knob right here, until I get to about 3,000. And we want to run these RPMs at 3,000 for about 3 minutes. And that just is getting it, running it through the circuit. There's a, right here, there's a de-airing port right there. And just the air is kind of getting forced out of this by running it right now at 3,000 RPMs. So while that's going on right there, it's a good time to plug in your oxygen tank right here. just plug it in right here. And you always want to make sure you got a full tank, which we do. So this is actually probably one of the larger time constraints right here is when you're priming the circuit. When it's a brand new circuit, they prime really fast, but given that this is a practice circuit, they do take a little bit of time for to get all that air out. I'm just going up to 4,000 RPMs and going to run it for a second here. Since I know there's some air in the circuit, I'm going to come back down to 0 RPMs and I'm just going to burp it. And what burping does is it just allows air to escape out, and I'm going to see if that'll de-air it a little bit quicker. So this is the pre-oxygenator pigtail right here. I'm just opening up this port and loosening up this cap to let some air out. And then I'm going to go to the post-oxygenator port over here and do the same thing. There we go. Now let's see if that removes some of the air from the circuit. Sounds a little bit better. We'll let it run at that for about another minute or so. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. So now the next step is we're going to purge all the ports and stopcocks. So I'm going to start down here. I'm going to purge this stopcock right here. That's just opening it up and let the air out right there. I like to go from bottom to top because air rises. Let the air right there, and remember to close the stopcock off again. I'll redo this pigtail or this port right here. I'm just letting a little bit of air out right now, a little bit of fluid, and then I'll do the last one up here again. Great, so now all the air is out of the circuit. So now we want to disconnect the priming bag from the actual circuit itself. And so what we're going to do there is you're going to need 5 of these clamps. That's why we always carry 6 on here, just in case. I like to go ahead and put one right up over here on the arterial side. That'll give me access to controlling the device before we're ready to actually go on a patient. And then the other ones, you're going to put 2 on the red side over here. And then you're going to do the exact same on the blue side right here. And what this does is allows us to disconnect this priming bag. You mind holding that for a second? Thanks. From the circuit. So there we go. Then we can let go of this. These clamps right here. And now we'd be all ready to hand off to the surgeons. And then once they make their connections up there, then I can slowly come off with this clamp right here, and then we could be on ECMO support. That's it. You can stop.